This is Gems with Shom, the deepest conversations in beat digging, music production, and records. If you're new here, welcome. Follow the show and you'll get the stories, techniques, and knowledge that takes years of research to find out on your own. We come correct every week with that raw uncut. For those that know. Welcome to Gems with Shom, a show about beat digging, records, production, and other things. On today's show, we have Bobbito Garcia, aka Kool Bob Love. Welcome to the show, my friend.
My brother P, yo, you did a fantastic job with Rich Medina. So when you reached out to me, I was like, oh yeah, we can make this happen because he's family up front. Let's just establish that. That's my man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love talking to Rich. That was one of my favorite interviews.
I would imagine so. He gave you some gems.
No doubt. The majority of the people who listen to Gems with Shom would know who Bobbito is, but you never know who's listening. So I'll give a very, very brief introduction. Bobbito is a DJ, basketball player, ex-pro ball player, host, announcer, author, entrepreneur, incredible filmmaker.
Oh, thank you.
Over the years, I look at you as a king of counterculture. You're exposing the unexposed, and your radio show, the Stretch Armstrong and Bobbito radio show on 89 Tech 9 in the 90s was voted best hip hop radio show of all time.
Woo-wee!
Regulation status. Your taste has shaped my taste, so I knew we would have a great conversation.
Cool.
All right.
Great intro, Shom.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, you don't need an introduction, but you never know.
Nah. There's whole new generations that have no idea who I am. So
that's right.
You know, a kid could be 30 right now, born in 96, and have no context for anything I've done. So
yeah, absolutely.
Or they might know me for the last 25 years, but they don't know what I did prior to that. So I appreciate the shine.
Yeah, no doubt. We're recording this on a beautiful morning in August. The sun is shining. I'm in my apartment in New York City in the 90s, close to Amsterdam. Have you ever been around here, Bobbito?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on 97th in Amsterdam. My tournament, FC21 All World, has the All World Final every year at the GOAT, aka Rocksteady Park on 99th in Amsterdam. So that whole neighborhood is very dear to me. In my recent memoir, Bobbito's book of B-Ball Bong Bong, I wrote extensively about the Upper West Side through a few chapters because that's my early years. That's my stomping ground. I no longer live there and haven't in some time, but spent almost half my life on the Upper Fresh Side, as some hip hop heads call it. So
yeah, I know all of this, and I just thought it was a cool coincidence where I'm in the same aura where you once were.
Yeah.
For our audience,
neighborhoods changed a lot.
Oh yeah, right beside me, there's a place. It's like $20 salad kind of vibe. So it's a totally different neighborhood, but you still see it here. It's still good atmosphere.
The culture, as much as New York has changed, the culture can't escape it. So you still got pockets and enclaves of people, thinking progressively and making amazing things happen, for sure.
Absolutely. For our audience, most of our episodes go way over 90 minutes. This one's going to be a little bit shorter. Bobbito's time is precious. So we're going to do this episode a little bit different, right?
Okay.
Bobbito, you've been in the public eye for many, many years. You've done several interviews. So I figure we do this one a little bit different. Everyone's favorite segment of our show is called the Drop a Gem on It segment. Rather than traditional questions, I name a person, place, thing, a song, and you just tell me what comes to mind. Okay. A feeling, personal anecdote, really anything. Does that work for you?
Yeah. Dude, I did a column in Vibe magazine called Soundcheck, where it was Bobbito plays the track, Isaac Hayes states the facts. I did that for 10 years, so it's similar. I wouldn't tell them what I was playing. I actually have an Instagram series right now called I Play the Track. I play the joint, you make the point. And recent guests have been Xochitl Gonzalez and Adam Mansbach, both of whom are New York Times bestselling authors. I have some other guests coming up. So yeah, this is fun. I'm with it.
You're a
Let's just
pro.
go.
You're
Let's
a
just go
pro.
wherever you take it.
Let's start with the record of the moment. You have a new record coming out by García y Su Charanga.
Charanga.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me. I was quite nervous about pronouncing that. I'd rather have you say it.
You can say charanga, but charanga is kind of like say charanga.
You're saying it much better than me. Tell us all about this new record coming out.
Well, it's a beautiful double-sided 7-inch. I got it right here, actually. Yeah. Label copy art by Andres Jimenez, Siete Sun, who's also done a number of designs for DJ Center and his Push the Fader record label. And actually, my last 7-inch my current record, I've had 4 record labels. So my current one is called Bobbito 45-7. So the debut was Pharoah Monch and Talib Kweli, Dream, with the flip side, DeLuis, rest in peace, who passed away last year, and Sarah Divine's cover of Womack and Womack, Baby I'm Scared of You. So Andres and I collaborated on that. I did the art direction, he did the design, and the same thing with this one. But yeah, it's my father's record. He recorded it back in the late 60s or early 70s. We're not quite sure of the date. And he had a band at the time, García y Su Charanga, and he was a vibe player. So he was the lead, and but he had a vocalist, percussionist, bassist, flute, the whole nine. And yeah, they used to perform little community centers and church gatherings and whatever. The record never came out. After he passed away in '97, Willie Hernandez, who also worked at ASCAP and was a flautist in my father's band, had me come over, and he was like, "Yo, like, you should have this." And it was an acetate. So here, I think I have it here. Yeah, I have it right here.
Very cool.
Yeah, so acetates, you only play like 30, 40 times, and then they just deteriorate. I never played it out. I never played it in a club. I was just like, I listened to it once and was like, yo, this is beautiful. It's my father's music. But I didn't really get to digest it. I didn't live with it because I just didn't want to destroy the quality. So, with the success of my Instagram post in the last year, like I'm getting over 1 million views a month, sometimes like 2 million views a month. Like, I finally passed 100,000 followers, like, and they're thirsty for stories, like I'm spot on with that. I'm a storyteller. Like, that's just who I am by nature. And so one day I just felt inspired. I was like, yo, I'm going to share my father's music, and I put it up on a post, and boom, like 10,000 views, like in the first like day. I mean, Pete Rock, yo, I will play that. DJ Sue's, yo, you need to press it on vinyl. Like, Bongo Head, like all these, like, cats that are heavy in the Latin music scene for vinyl, we're really giving it a lot of shine. And so I reached out to Eclipse for Fat Beats, and I was like, yo, man, like, I've been putting records out distributed by them since 97 or 96, actually. It's the 30th anniversary of their distribution. So it just made sense to celebrate that, recognize the union, and he wasn't like sure at first. He was like, "Yeah, I got to play it for the team and get an approval." Da da da. So yeah, they went with it. Pre-order opened August 5th, and the in-store date is September 25th. I think with the limited quantity that we pressed, it'll most likely sell out prior to the in-store date. But we'll see. It's me paying homage to my father, and for the family members that are still around, an opportunity for all of us to commune and really raise not his voice but his vibe playing. He doesn't sing on the record. At least not that I'm aware of. Maybe he did background vocals. I wasn't in the studio when they recorded.
It's an incredible record. What you shared, at least a snippet, sounds
Yeah.
fantastic. It sounds
Thank
like
you.
a great vibe. What does it mean to you to put something out like this that's so personal?
Well, I mean, it's, if you follow my career and know who I am, there's no separation of who I am personally and who I am publicly, with the exception of when I had a child. My co-parent and I, decisively do not post photos of him. I mention him, and I mention my family because that's a big part of my day every day. And in my memoir, Bobbito's book of Bibo Bong Bong, in the last chapter, I start talking about, being the head of a family and the responsibilities involved in that. There's a little bit of a mention I did an autobiographical documentary called Rock Rebel 45s. So you get a little snippet of my home life, but my home life is delicate, and I don't need to put that out there too much to be sensitive to the members of the household. But I'm not foreign to the idea of wearing my heart on my sleeve and allowing my audience to identify with it. I found that in the early '90s when I was my true self on the radio, that's really when I became the best version of my hosting ability. And that was a signifier. And, throughout every pit stop, whether it's been author, filmmaker, tournament director, clothing designer, consultant, photographer, DJ, whatever it is, music producer. I wear a lot of record label owner, founder. So I wear a lot of hats, and in each case, I try to just be my truest self. I don't know how to be otherwise. Case in point, I have a social media consultant right now, and it's like I'm a little overwhelmed. I manage 6 accounts: Stretching Bobbito, Rock Rebel 45s, FC21 All World, my basketball tournament, Rock Rebel 45s, my film, Doing It in the Park, my first film, and then Kool Bob Love, right? So every day I'm checking DMs, responding to comments, figuring out content, scheduling, So anyway, he was like, "Yo, like this." I have a pair of shorts that I designed that are being sold on Buckets and Baskets online shop, and so I created a reel. I was talking smack, being funny, and he was like, "Yo, if you put trending audio, it'll have better reach." And so I was like, "All right, that makes sense to me." I went on my edits app and I started listening to trending audio, and I was like, I reached back out. So I was like, "Yo, I'm in the National Association of Broadcasters Radio Hall of Fame. There's no way I can come out and people look at me like I creatively compromise myself for the sake of sales or for the sake of reach. If I just want to reaching X amount of viewers for a post, then that's just what it is. I got to be true to myself, So, I mean, of course, the hope is that the audience converts to the essence of what I represent and what I convey in my messaging, so that the respect for not compromising becomes a marketing tool, right? And it has. I know a lot of people follow me. They're like, "Yo, like, no matter what it is, basketball, sneakers, music, you never sold out,
Right.
And so I wear that like a badge of honor because I've had a lot of opportunities to sell out, and I'm not passing judgment on people who have. That's their lane. I don't know their family situations or their personal complications where they was like, "Yo, I got to make this check." That's neither here nor there. But for me, I've been fortunate in that, I'm going to turn 60 in September, and feel good about most of the things that I've done career-wise, like that's rare. I realize that I'm blessed.
From the outside, someone watching your career, your authenticity is why we give a shit. That's why we listen to you. Otherwise, we wouldn't listen as much, right? Because your taste truly matters because you've been shaping everyone else's taste for years. So I think you made the right call. You made that call consistently in your life.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I get applauded enough where I may not need the encouragement to go on because I'm highly self-motivated, highly, like unusually so. But no doubt the feedback is golden, and I hang on every single DM or email or in person, yo, damn, yo, like you're my childhood. And, so yeah, I definitely like super appreciate it. And like I say in almost every single interview, I'm blessed. I know I'm blessed. There's something in the universe that put a spotlight on me to shine because, there's a saying like lightning don't strike twice. It struck, you know, I mean, I did a radio show with Stretch and it blew up.
Yeah,
right.
it did.
It was like monumental for the 90s. And then years later, I wound up being a voice on a video game called NBA Street. And now I'm currently the voice of NBA The Run, different company, different developers, but, both have blown up. So it's like, wow, like, people don't get a second chance at a career sometimes. Like I've got like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, So I encourage people to get the full scope to watch my autobiographical documentary, Rock Rubber 45s, released in 2018, New York Times Critics Pick, National Museum of African American History and Culture, festival selection. I mean, on and on, accolades, whatever. But it's a beautiful film, and it kind of went under the radar, Shom. And I had all the celebrity injection that, a doc would need. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Questlove, Patti LaBelle, Rich Medina, Crazy Legs, on and on, Maxwell, Rosie Perez, Rosario Dawson, on Eddie Palmieri, he rest in peace. I did the title track. I produced it myself called Rock Rubber 45s. And so I invited Eddie to have a cameo on it. And that's another record that went under the radar. People don't really know me for Rock Rubber 45s. People talk to me about music and they talk about Stretch and Bobbito, and I get it. But I've made some incredible records in the last 8 years. Like incredible, that I'm so proud of, and no one ever asked me about it. So I'm going to talk about it. Que Bonita Bandera, Stretch Armstrong and Bobbito, plus the M19's band. But I produced that record, and I directed the music video too. Rosie Perez saw that, and she saw my music video for The Mexican, which also Stretch and Bobbito plus the M19's band. That was on our album. Que Bonita Bandera was only released as a 7-inch. But when Rosie saw The Mexican, and I directed that music video too, she hit me. She was like, yo, like, I'm crying right now. I'm so moved. And to get that from her, who's a fellow filmmaker, fellow author, fellow Boricua, fellow social activist. Me and Rosie don't talk often, but she's a dear friend for life. And has been for over 30 years, so to get feedback from somebody that knows the behind the scenes. But, it's like nobody really wants to interview me about the Mexican or about Que Bonita Bandera or about Rock Rubber 45s. That's fine. Maybe 10 years from now, 20 years from now, someone will be watching this interview and be like, oh, damn, I want to check that. Oh, wow. Like, that's incredible, So, but, as I said earlier, the feedback is amazing, but I'm highly self-motivated. So regardless of whether it reaches the levels of exposure that Stretch and Bobbito did, or the NBA Street did, or NBA The Run is doing now, I'm still going to do it. Still going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Throughout your career and this conversation, you have had a vein of political activism. And I associate that with you. I associate that with New York, real New Yorkers. What's that history mean to you?
Well, being about social justice, politics, global change, aware of climate crisis, being conscious of COVID as an ongoing pandemic. These are things that I can't escape, right? And these are things now, like, even if you're in denial, there's a tornado in New Jersey, right? There's flood watch in Westchester and Rockland County. There's air quality alerts in the 5 boroughs. You can't escape it. It's like you can say whatever you want, but at this point, it's in your face, and you can deny, that COVID was a thing, but it's in your face. Somebody who passed away. Somebody who got sick. Somebody who was hospitalized, and it sucks. And in all these cases, we could have prevented it, or we could have mitigated to a point where it didn't have to affect, 2020, 2021, like over 1 million people died of COVID. Over 1 million. This is an event that is so striking in our lives that I don't know that people understand the gravity of that. Like, we talk about 9/11 and how many people passed away. I'm not trying to minimize it. It was a huge event, but I don't know, like 300, 400 people died in 9/11. I don't know. I don't remember, but not 1 million, and so we have a way of being placated. Sports, music is an elixir, entertainment, film, but let's not get numb. And, sometimes as a public figure, I want to be talking about my father's record. I want to be talking about my shorts. I want to be talking about my basketball tournament, FC21 All World. I have to. It's how I sustain my joy, but also pay bills, right? In a sincere manner. But there's moments where, 9 people were shot. 100 people, 100 Palestinians were murdered. Schoolgirls were decimated in a building that was, hit by a missile. It's like you can't. There's so much that goes on in the world that I don't want to be numb to it, and I don't want to sweep it underneath the rug and just do an Instagram post on the same day, like, haha, if I don't know about something, that's different. It's like, I don't know. I don't hear about everything that's going on, and I don't want to address every single moment, that's going on, because there's shootings every single day, right? There's people dying every single day. It's nonstop. The cycle is ridiculous. So how do we recognize that, try to create repair, while still finding our joy within that? And I think there's a balance, just like everything else. You seek that, and that's what I try to do. I am a full-time caregiver of someone who's disabled and immunocompromised, so I haven't been on the front lines protesting in years. I haven't, been able to. When Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, Crazy Legs hopped on the next plane. I want to be in the next seat next to him. Absolutely, yo, like, come on, let's do this together. Because me and him have a history of doing outreach, for community events and betterment. but I couldn't go. I have family responsibility, and I'm at the point maybe later on in life I could get back to that. But it's part of who I am. It's just, I feel like being a New Yorker, being a Boricua, being a hip hop head, even being a ball player. Me creating a tournament where anybody can register. It could be non-gender conforming, non-binary. You could be a high school girl. You could have never played AAU. You could be out of shape, weekend warrior. You could play in my tournament. You can sign up. You may not win, but you get an experience, a shirt, announcer, fun time, competition, and you're part of something global. I do it in 30 international locations. So that's activism, right? Because what am I doing? I'm creating an opportunity for people to participate. So that's activism. And I do that from my crib. I have local organizers that help me out because I would love to be in Tokyo. I would love to be in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cancun, where we did it for the first time this year. But I can't travel. I have responsibilities at home. So, I'm grateful for the network that I've created and for the buttons that I'm able to push from afar to make the world a better place. I wake up some mornings, I'm like, yo, how can I make the world a better place today? I literally say that in my head. And I feel like there's a lot of us, I'm not special, there's a lot of people around that feel the same way and have that type of commitment. So, paso a paso.
Thanks for sharing that side of you. And it is political activism is a vein through everything you've done throughout your career. And I wanted to give a moment to talk about it. So I really appreciate what you said there.
No doubt.
Riffing on another record, one of my favorite artists, Gil Scott-Heron, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. What does that record bring up for you?
So you mentioned The Revolution Will Be Televised, and the first thing I think of is actually DJ Snips, who redid the record recently on 7-inch. I don't remember the name of the MC, but oh my God, they crushed that. And there's been other remakes of it. Black Thought did a Revolution Will Not Be Televised. He ripped that too. Black Thought is legendary. But if we talk about Gil, as a child, the first record I ever purchased was Brother to Brother, The Bottle, which was a cover of Gil Scott-Heron's. That's the first 7-inch I ever purchased, period, in life, with my own money. It's like 99 cents or 90 cents at a record shop that used to be on 97th and Broadway. On the Upper First Side. So I have a lot of love for Gil, even though I didn't know his music beyond that single in the time frame, as I got older, started buying records and learning and looking back to the 70s, like, oh, what else did this artist have? I know The Bottle, so that's the breadcrumb. Right? And then I started buying all his other albums and being like, whoa, But The Revolution Will Not Be Televised was so powerful, and to learn about it as an adult, as a young adult, was mind blowing. To know that this dude was making this type of music in the 70s. And I feel like a lot of people will be like, Gil is early rap. I don't buy that. I don't buy that one bit. Gil was a poet. Gil was a singer. Gil was a musician. Gil was an incredible New Yorker. I don't think the early MCs, if you talk to Grandmaster Caz and, Melly Mel and Whip and Ruby D, I don't think they're going to say, oh, yeah, we listen to Gil Scott. I mean, maybe they were, but I don't think that there's other artists that were rhyming that I think, lead into what happens in hip hop. Certainly now Gil's social and political stance, once hip hop becomes political and socially conscious, then Gil is definitely a foundation for that. Not in his cadence or delivery, but in his mindset as an artist, right? Same could be said for Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, you know, on and on and on, right? But yeah, it's just a super powerful record that, you know, I'm thinking back to when I started playing it as a DJ. It wasn't in the 90s. I really started playing that as a DJ in the early 2000s when I had my residency at APT. And I didn't play it often.
I might have been there a couple of times and seen you.
You might have.
Yeah.
But I would play music like that. I love, you know, the idea of making people dance and affecting their mind, body, and soul, right? And while people are like grooving to it, they may not be paying attention to the lyrics, but maybe it just gets embedded in there and they think about it later on, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of music like that. You know, Rakim is a great example.
Oh yeah.
You know, affect your mind, body, and soul. Fish, which is my favorite dish.
Yeah.
He's affecting people want to dance in the club. Fish, which is my favorite, and then going like home. Yo, why am I eating this hamburger with, you know, fried French fry? You know, like maybe I should eat some fish. You know, it's like, yo, he's affecting your mind. You know, nothing against red meat eaters. Some people's body requires that they eat that. But yeah, I think you know, Gil was a genius. I had the opportunity to interview him in his crib.
Wow.
In Harlem for Vibe magazine, and that was a trip. He was so kind. I met him in the morning, and he said, I think I call it morning from now on. He said he played that every single day to start his mornings, and I was like, word. I was like, I mean, whether he really did or not, like I don't know, but
Yeah.
you know, he had dope Tropicana orange juice too. I don't know why I attached that to the memory, but yo, he gave me a whole glass of fresh orange juice while we was waiting to do the interview, and I was like, what? I was like, yo, this is the best OJ ever, yo. Cool ass Gil, you know.
I love that story. You mentioned you've had a few record labels. One of them was called Fondulum Records.
Mm-hmm.
The next record I'll ask you about, Lord Sear, Alcoholic Vibes.
Yeah. So I started Fondulum in '95, December to be exact, and the debut release was the Cenobites featuring Kool Keith and Godfather Dawn, which got recently released, reissued by Fat Beats. Very proud of that. And the next one was Juggernauts, with a song called Clear Blue Skies. I mean, I released their whole album, but Clear Blue Skies was like epic. And so essentially it was just me putting out records that I had already debuted on our radio show as demos. Shout out to Rich King from Big Daddy Distribution, who winds up co-founding Fat Beats Distribution with Joe Bajian and Eclipse and that whole crew over there. He was the one who really made me turn the corner of like, yo, you got these dope records, you should put them out on wax. So I was like, word, okay, cool. Then I put out The Arsonist, then I put out Mr. Live, and then the fifth release was Lord Sear, who, you know, was a dear friend of mine at the time. My not quite yet my co-host on me and Stretch's show, but a regular, like a weekly, you know, permanent voice on 89.9 FM WKCR. And, you know, he was so talented. He was beatboxing for Percy P on the station. He was going off the top of the head with Tame One, rest in peace. He could DJ, he could cut. I mean, Sear was like quiet as kept. Like, I don't think any of us realized how talented he was because he was such a clown.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying like a clown, like, yo, you clown, be like, he was a clown, like, yo, he was just always clowning, always snapping on folks, or like, you know, we were always laughing. I mean, you know, he could have been a stand-up comedian if he really wanted to. And he kind of wound up being when, you know, when he got his own show on Shade 45 Sirius XM. He passed away March 11th of this year. May he rest in peace. Miss him dearly. Yeah, you know, when we did the tribute show to him, his producer Sam Dirty asked me to host it. And I said, yeah, with my eyes closed. I was like, absolutely, absolutely. And so during that broadcast, I was like, yo, let's play Alcoholic Vibes, My Hindu Love. And, just, I, I don't know how many people are aware of either of those songs prior to him passing. I always joked around like, that 12-inch single went double cardboard. I come out with Cenobites and Juggernauts and we're repressing and, Arsonists, we're repressing and Arsonists is like, they're passing out stickers and their live show is incredible. And then, I put out Lord Sear and it's like, but it's cool. Now I guess it's a rare record because it never got reissued. Did one-time pressing and that was it. So, keeps it special.
It's a major record to me. It comes up on the show all the time. Firstly, it's dope. It's so loose. I mean, he's freestyling, right?
Yeah.
And he's got a great voice.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking shit like he does.
Yeah.
And it uses an incredible breakbeat. That's a legendary record. Now, do you know anything about the production of that record? Who found the record? How'd you guys put it together?
No, I didn't have anything to do with the production. Sear gave me the demo. I didn't recognize the sample. It felt rare.
It is.
Both sides, it felt rare. Cause I didn't have it in my record crates. Not that I had, I still don't have a ton of records compared to like a Rich or a Spinner or people might mention me in the same sentence with them. And have, not for my technical ability and not for my mass of 12 inches in albums and 7 inches. It's more like they enjoyed our parties and, the events that we produced. So, yeah, but, I didn't ask you, like, we weren't clearing samples. We were pressing like 1,000 records. It was like so under the radar. I was like, yo, I mean, he owned the master. He owned the publishing. So I didn't, it wasn't my responsibility to clear the sample,
I mean, people didn't really clear them back then. It didn't really, not a lot of things are not.
Yeah, I mean, but, so I didn't ask him. It wasn't my place to. I was like, I'm going to put the record out and, we'll keep it moving. So, yeah. But I've heard DJ Sensa actually told me that, forget what the record was, but he was like, wow, that's a crazy rare record.
Yeah, it's a crazy. I wasn't going to say it because you didn't clear it, but it made that record even more famous and more popular. It's been repressed. It's a banger. It's a hell of a record. I mean, it just sounds like the loop. It's great.
All right. Tell me what it is so I know.
Oh, Phil Rainlin, Vibes from the Tribe.
Phil Rainlin?
Phil Rainlin. Yeah.
Rainlin, okay.
Yeah.
And that's for My Hindu Love or Alcoholic Vibes?
Alcoholic Vibes.
Oh.
Straight loop. It's hot. It's hot.
Yeah.
You love it. Next record. Everyone's favorite. One of my favorite songs of all time. Rhymes Like Dimes by MF Doom. Off Operation Doomsday.
Mashed potatoes, applesauce, buttery biscuits, and I get lost. Yes, sure. Another one of my brothers who's no longer with us, sadly. Miss him too, but feel fortunate to have been at the foundational stage of his career, even prior to MF Doom. I knew him as Zev Love X when he appeared on Gas Face. We're in the Third Base video together, and did shows with him, traveled with him. I managed KMD after 93 when I left Def Jam. Me and Pete Nice had Hit You Off Management in the same office with Hoppo Recordings. We had a label deal, a distribution deal with Columbia CBS. I eventually became Columbia Sony. So yeah, I have a long history with Doom, but beautiful moment. He came to the crib with his sampler. He plugged it in I had a Gemini 2200 mixer, the old joint that Scratch and Daddy Rich and all those dudes from the 80s used, not that I was cutting and scratching myself. But yeah, it was a beautiful moment in my life, you know, just in our bedroom, in my bedroom, making a record. You know, I had a mic plugged in. He just gave me no guidance. He was like, yo, just say whatever you want. And that's why I say, you know, what do I say at the end of the record is, I don't know, you know, and then I get to Buttery Biscuits. And I made a t-shirt in 2022 or 23, Buttery Biscuits, mashed potatoes, applesauce, Buttery Biscuits. And it, you know, it was just me paying homage to my man. You know, Doin was hilarious cat. I spoke to Grimm recently, briefly, but you know, Grimm and Doom, you know, George, you know, Curious, Cotty, like we're all still family, you know, for life. And Doom, even though he's from from Far Rock or Long Island, whatever, you know, he was part of that. He hung out on our block and became part of the crew, and just lovely dude, man. You know, lovely dude. We did some amazing things together. I'm glad I launched his solo career.
I just want to say how important that is to everyone. And even you just riffing and saying your outro now, it means the world to me. And I'll just say that song is iconic. Doom has become more popular than ever in 2026. That's just somehow that's how it worked. And that's one of his greatest songs ever. So I appreciate so much what you just said.
Thank you. Yeah. Nah, it's bugged out to me. You know, it's like you do things in the moment, you know, not realizing what type of ripple effect it's going to have, you know. It was just a very simple, innocent moment. We weren't trying to do a record that was going to last a lifetime. We weren't envisioning like people talking about it 30 years later, you know. Just like, yo, like, let's make this record. All right, cool. He actually borrowed my Quincy Jones album I forget to mention that, but yeah, he came to crib. He's like, yo, you got the Quincy Jones 100 Ways? I was like, yeah, I got it. You know, he said, can I loop that? He looped it. He did it quick. Record was made in like 15, 20 minutes. He didn't record his vocals in my crib, but he looped it. Then he said, yo, Bob, do an outro. So I hadn't heard his rhymes prior to doing the outro. Oddly enough, I don't even think I knew the name of the record yet. If I don't know, you know, it's like 98, 99 probably that we recorded that. So, but yeah, it's quite possible that the record didn't even have a title yet when I did that outro.
It's just magic. Bob, I know your time is valuable. What are you excited for the future?
So many things, you know, first and foremost, my FC21 All-World Tournament happens in 30 international locations, the winners of which advance to the All-World Final August 29th, which is a Saturday at the GOAT, aka Rocksteady Park, legendary for hip-hop as well as basketball. And it's something that's so dear to me. It's like my child, you know. You know, I welcome the public to come because it's free, you know, and Snipes will be there, you know, giving out t-shirts and water and towels and, you know, just whatever free stuff. It's always such an amazing vibe. So there's that. There's NBA The Run, which I'm the voice of. In the first week, it had 2.5 million games played. So it's, you know, it's out the gate in a very strong manner. I authored a book in 2025. Well, I wrote it in 2023, but in 2025 it got published. Bobbito's book of B-Ball Bong Bong, a memoir of sports style and soul, still available, still in print, and I have a clothing brand as well, which is B-Ball music inspired, more B-Ball, but definitely music, I got so much merch for all my projects. You know, my film, I wrote 3 books and I directed 3 films, and there's merch available for each of them. And then I got my father's record dropping in store September 25th, pre-order August 5th. There's other stuff that I'm not remembering right now, but yeah, I got some new t-shirt designs coming in September. So, everything, the hub is my Instagram, or koolboblove.com, KOOLBOBLOVE.com. My Instagram is KOOLBOBLOVE, but it's the same on Facebook, Threads, YouTube, Blue Sky, Upscrolled, Patreon, LinkedIn, just Kool Bob Love across the board. I think I have some other platforms that I'm not remembering right now. But yeah, man, I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for your shine. And now I'm just gonna squeeze some lime and and I'm gonna drop a dime.
Brother, we look forward to your storytelling no matter what form it takes. Appreciate
All
your
right.
time, bro.
No doubt.
Peace.
All right.
Just give me 30 seconds of your time. Firstly, a huge thank you for checking out the show. This started off as an idea in my mind to see the growth, and the support from the beat digging community from around the world has been fantastic. Secondly, if you support what we do here, take a moment and join the 19% of listeners and subscribe on this app. It makes a huge difference. And my promise to you is to grow this show to make it even more of what you love. More guests, more interesting conversation, more beat digging knowledge. We appreciate your support. Peace.